Hey guys, good to be with you again today. We are on Roots week number 7, almost done with this week. Again, and for the next little while, just because we're trying to get through kind of a lot of bigger stories, the scripture is going to be kind of broken up, so just make sure that you're following along closely and you'll get what you need to get. The story that we're looking at comes from Genesis 43, verses 1 through 15, then 44, verse 1, all the way down through 45, verse 15. Then finally 50 verses 15 through 26. So it's broken up, but it's just to kind of give you the gist of the story. We're finishing up the story of Joseph, which he gets a lot of attention in the book of Genesis. The story is fairly long because it's a pretty important story to the rest of what's going to happen, not just in this part of the Bible, but really in the Bible as a whole. So it's pretty important stuff that you should definitely try to read on your own and look at. So just to summarize where we left off, Joseph, of course, was sold into slavery by his brothers. They really hated him. They sell him into slavery, but eventually God works it out so that he becomes the second most powerful man in the land of Egypt, because he's set up to essentially prepare for a great famine. There's not going to be any food. And so Joseph sort of saves and stockpiles all this food that's left over so that there will be food when the famine comes. He winds up saving tons and tons of people throughout this process, including his own brothers who sold him into slavery. So they come down to Egypt. They don't recognize Joseph. He's going by an Egyptian name now. He's dressed up like an Egyptian, all this sort of stuff. They don't recognize who he is. They come to ask for food, but Joseph knows who they are. And that's sort of the tension. Like, is Joseph going to get back at them for what they did to him or not? What's going to happen when he meets his brothers again? Well, he sets up all these tests for them, and basically what he does at the end is he plants on them one of his silver. He has a big, nice silver cup, and he puts that on one of his brothers. So they leave, not knowing that they have the silver cup. He sends somebody down to chase them down, like, "Hey, why did you rob Joseph?" They didn't know that was on there because it had been planted on them, but he sets it up so it looks like they stole from him, and then he drags them back and he tells the brother that stole from him that he's going to keep him in slavery. But one of the other brothers says, "I'll take his place. Don't take him." And when he does that, Joseph realizes that his brothers have actually changed from the way that they used to be, and he breaks down and weeps in front of them. And he basically, from there's this big, sort of happy family moment. They bring their father down from Canaan, and basically what happens is they go, because Joseph was in Egypt, because of everything that had just gone down, Joseph moves the rest of his family from where they were over in the land of Canaan down into Egypt, where there's plenty of food, where they can be taken care of. So basically this all works out to save God's people. Now at the end of Genesis, and this is what I want to focus on today, I know that's a lot of lead up, but at the end of Genesis, in chapter 50, Jacob, who is the father of all these brothers, dies. Now, when he dies, all the other brothers are scared that now that their daddy's gone, Joseph is going to take his revenge. He's going to get back at them for what they did to him. And really, in a lot of ways, it's like Joseph should. Joseph had every right to. I mean, they straight up sold him, like not like figuratively, but literally sold him. He had to go through incredible hardship because of what they did to him. And so they're expecting him to just kill him. And he certainly has the power, and he certainly has the authority to do that if he wanted to. But what happens is they come up and they beg for their lives. They say, "Look, we'll be your slaves if you'll just let us live." But in verse 19 of chapter 50, it says, "But Joseph said to them, 'Don't be afraid. Am I in the place of God? You planned evil against me, but God planned it for good to bring about the present result, the survival of many people. Therefore, don't be afraid. I will take care of you and your children.' And he comforted them and spoke kindly to them." So right there, what we're seeing is Joseph sees how even through his hardship, God was at work to save not only his family, but all these other families as well, who would have starved if it had not been for what happened to him. Nonetheless, in spite of all that good, Joseph still could have been angry. Joseph still could have been mad. He had every right to take out his anger on his brothers, but instead he forgave them and comforted them and gave them good instead of evil. Forgiveness really breaks a cycle of violence. The pastor and I were talking the other day. He said, I think the reason that Jesus told us to turn the other cheek is because it breaks the cycle. You know, if we constantly have to get back at the people who wrong us, we'll just be going at each other over and over and over again. You'll hit me and I'll hit you back. And then you'll hit me back and then I'll hit you back. And it goes on and on and on forever until one of us cannot take it anymore and we're broken. Right now, that's one of the problems that we have in our society. We have no grace. We have no mercy. We have no forgiveness for each other. We don't realize that we have to live in the same nation as each other. At some point, somebody has to break the cycle and forgive. If you can learn to do that, you will save yourself a lot of hardship. Remember what Jesus said on the cross, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. You can break the cycle today by showing a little grace to somebody.